Hello.
Again. I want to thank you for allowing me to work with you again. So I know we're meeting today to review the data that I collected on the last focus that we decided on. Am I noticing and reacting when students are not engaged or off task, and am I applying consequences? And that fell under Domain 5, DQ 5, with the Marzano framework. Noticing when students are not engaged, the engaging student section. So here's the data display that I created based on your focus for this time. So if you want to take a minute or two to look it over. Yeah, there's another side.
Hitting.
Mm-hmm.
For hitting another student on the carpet. Okay.
So looking at this data on this focus, did you notice anything about your data? Like just looking at everything that I saw in your classroom, like do anything stand out to you? Is there any patterns?
Yeah, like there are, I'm looking at this on the first portion where it says number of teachers' actions, like these verbal reminders and verbal cues, non-verbal reminders as well, and changing color, seat change, cone change. You know, these are the specific actions that's been done to to get the students back in their engagement in class. And some of them, as I have noticed, some of them are not working at all because it shows here in the data that that student adhere to it or not, and how many times I did that, and then how many times the student actually adhered to that. So this is very helpful because like I know which one works and which one does not work for the kids.
So in addition to the strategies that I saw and that you're doing, how can you monitor to which students re-engage? So, once you go ahead and you give the action, right, you do say and do whatever action you do, how are you monitoring them becoming re-engaged?
Oh, like I think for this one, like for one example is that when I put their names down, like from green to like being ready, as that they're ready for the discussion, and then I would give them warning for yellow as warning. Then I would put their names back to ready.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Like that's how I know that they're ready again.
And that's working here.
Okay. And even in the cones too, it does. I do the yellow, and then I turn it back to green. Like whenever they get back to being engaged again.
Okay.
So all those things.
So, what are you learning about your students as you are creating and doing these different strategies? Because I've noticed that you do have specific different strategies with different children. which seem to be working for most of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you learning like about your students as you are? I mean, we're towards the end of the school year now. So, like, what are you learning about your students as you are adapting and creating new strategies?
Yeah, definitely that class, first of all, is really a challenging class. Like most of them are really, that has to be redirected all the time, redirected all the time. So apart from my class to be kind of like what do you call this? It has to be fresh. It has to be um, engaging. It has to be exciting.
Right.
Apart from that, like in terms of my preparation, so that they will be engaged. Some of them really, whatever, no matter how you prepare your lesson, no matter how engaging you prepare your lesson, some of them really will just will not focus.
Right.
But as you've said, there are strategies that are specific to kids, and by now I know exactly what works for each of them.
Right.
So right away I would do that. Like the thing where I remove the student from the carpet, that works really well for some students. Like they know exactly from the carpet they would go back to their seat, and if they are not engaged still, they would go to a reflection corner, and they don't like reflection corner.
Oh, like
So
when you
that-
sent what's his name?
Richard, I guess.
Richard back to his seat, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I put that on.
Yeah,
He went
and
back
also
to his seat.
and also like if I notice that he's back to being engaged, then he can go back to the carpet.
Right.
And they know that if they're not engaged, then they would go to the reflection corner. They don't like reflection corner. With Richard specifically, that works
Okay.
because he doesn't like reflection corner. Because by then, he's kind of like out from the rest of the class, and like he would write some reflection questions or answer some questions.
Right.
So that works for him.
That's good.
Some kids, you tap them and that works for them. So it's specifically with some kids. By now, I know which strategy to use to which student. So,
Okay. So after looking at this data and talking about it, as this is a cycle, what would you like to focus on next?
I think as I've said, that class really it's kind of like challenging. A lot of redirection is needed for most of them.
Even after looking at
Even
this?
after looking at this, some things are not working and some are working or not. But I think you could help me out with some more strategies that might help them
Okay.
more, because like the verbal reminders, I did a lot, but not a lot of students adhere to that. So probably that's not working in my class.
Right.
So probably if you could help me look into other strategies that might,
And there's no strategy, not one strategy works with every kid,
Mhm.
which is what you can see from
Yeah.
this data, and I can,
Mhm.
everything you did, I wrote down, because you have,
Mhm.
like you said, you have specific things for certain
for
students.
specific students, yeah.
So you want to focus on this same guided focus
Yes.
for engaging students?
Mhm.
Okay. What strategies do you think you could use? I mean, when we look into it, I have the Marzano book,
Mhm.
and we did say that it falls under the DQ5. So DQ5 98. So looking in the what will I do to engage students, it gives us, and I looked into this before, you mentioned this before, you gotta have the high energy, like the less pressure. It talks about high energy as a stimulus for engagement,
Mhm.
making sure there's not missing information. What else did they say? The pressure. And then it came to different action steps. So if you want to look over these action steps,
Mhm.
go ahead and look over them, and let's
Yeah.
see if you can maybe come up with like 2 or different strategies that we could really look into and focus on. So, when we meet next week or the week after and we're doing the same focus, I can really look into those 2 strategies to see if they will work in your classroom and if they are working.
Yeah, I've started doing these games too, especially
Games
in
of
math.
focus.
Mhm. Yeah. I thought you engaged them too. Using consequential competition. Mm-hmm. Okay, this one too. This is
The
a good
response
one.
cards, yeah.
It's a good one. You can assess right away too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This one's that's a good one that I can use.
The response cards, okay.
Yeah, because this one we've been doing.
The choral response you're doing already.
To stand. Sometimes I would have them, like for example, if they see when I did the actual speech of the character, like touch your nose if you see the what do you call this, the quotation marks. So
They
I
like
think that
that.
falls
Little
under
goofy things
use,
they like.
use physical movement. I think that's part of that. So, yeah, but looking at this one, I could use this strategy, for example, like this one. Like,
Pacing.
yeah, my
Okay.
kids, like if I would focus on a bad behavior, then I lose that excitement time with them, and then
Right.
they lose it also. They lose it. So this one intensity, the rigor that they're talking about. Yeah, that's helpful. I think we can focus on those things.
Okay. So I can, since you want to focus on the same focus, like I said, we can add these strategies into the data. So when I come in, what's a good time to come in next week?
Next
Or a day?
week, probably Wednesday next week. is
Wednesday
fine.
at the same time in like the morning for reading and writing? Okay.
Yeah, that's when we have the group read discussion.
When they're all together. Okay, so what I'll do is, obviously I will come up with another data display and I will add these strategies into them. And we can see if we'll be able to, right then and there, afterwards,
working.
you'll be able to tell if it will work and if it is working in your classroom,
Okay.
and if not. And then we can go from there.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
All right. Yeah, that's helpful. And just looking into this, I can now tell which one am I not using in classroom.
Right.
And so just to put it in action is really exciting. I'm excited.
And you'll be able to see it right when you get the data too. So
All right.
awesome. Okay, so then we'll say next Wednesday in the morning, I'll make sure I email Ms. Granger and get that time in.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I'll come up with another data display, and we'll really focus in on these two strategies here, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
All right.
Well, thank you for allowing me to work with you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to sticky note this page, that way I have it down. I can add it in there. All right.
Thank you.
Welcome.